my sight.
He loves things that run and work. What's she putting around us?
Mary.
What is she putting on the wall? You have to be careful if she is understood.
110 years ago, today, on March 13th, 1906, Susan B. Anthony, at 86 years old, at 12:40 in the morning, breathed her last in the bedroom upstairs in the bed that we have here at the Susan B. Anthony Museum and House. At the time of her funeral, her dear friend, Anna Howard Shaw, remarked, "Her quenchless passion for her cause was that it was yours and mine, the cause of the whole world. She knew that where freedom is, there is the center of power. Hence her cause, perfect equality of rights, of opportunity, of privilege for all, civic and political, was to her the bedrock upon which all true progress must rest." Shaw continued, "Her work will not be finished, nor will her last words be spoken, while there remains a wrong to be righted, or a fettered life to be freed in all the earth." So we gather here today not in mourning or in sadness. For Susan B. Anthony said, "When I go, let there be no dark shades." And they hung just a very simple violet wreath on her door, as we did this morning. This is a day not for remembering, but a day for celebration. When Susan B. Anthony was born into the world, our country was just but a few years old. A country founded on the principle of being of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yet, in the world into which Susan B. Anthony was born, we still tolerated indentured servitude and slavery within the borders of our own nation. And from her earliest days, she felt that the revolution that had been envisioned had not yet come to pass. And she spent her whole life doing what reformers do. When she saw something that was wrong, she worked to change it. And so she said, "When I'm gone, let there not, if there be a funeral, then pass by and get on with the work." So when we remember Susan B. Anthony here, as we're teaching about her life or her work, it's always to the end that we might be encouraged or agitated, as she would say, to continue her work. Anthony believed in a world where enlightened citizens who were empowered with the vote would work with compassion for the ends for all people, for free and excellent education for all, because she was born into a world where there was very little public education, and where Sunday school was often the only time that a working class person, whether child or adult, could learn a little bit about how to read or to write. She believed that there should be freedom for women to make decisions about their own bodies, their finances, and their resources, and have the resources to understand and be able to plan for the timing of their children that they might choose to have. She believed and spoke for access to health care and social services that would support women, children, and families. One of the reasons that our community was one of the first to make sure that in every public school there was a public nurse that would be available for children and families who might not have access otherwise. She advocated and believed in equal pay for all persons engaged in similar work. She believed in access for work opportunities and the opportunity for each human being to exercise his or her talents for the common good, without barriers based on gender, age, race, national origin, or prior condition. She specifically described a time when the divisiveness and corruption that dominated politics, the press, and legislative bodies would be subdued by a voice of reason and compassion and justice. She dreamed of a time when women and men would draw on the depths of our finest character to work together to face the great challenges of our time with wisdom, vision, and consideration for the common good of all people. She predicted a time when diplomacy and negotiation would be the tools to resolve the conflicts in our world, rather than violence and war. Susan B. Anthony agitates from the grave for us today. In this year when we are more aware than ever that every society, despite its bounds of freedom and democracy, must always be sorting out how we are to be community together, how we are to be community in the world, what states and nations will draw boundaries around, and what ways we will work and strive together. Susan B. Anthony raises the questions that are eternal about human nature and about society. Here at the Susan B. Anthony Museum and House, we teach about her life so that we can see how much the world was changed in the 86 years of her lifetime. But she would be the first person to say that the change that happened didn't happen because of her, not because of one icon, but because of a whole social movement that woke up and dedicated themselves to the causes that were important and significant. She would tell us to continue to educate, to organize, and to agitate for that which we believe. So as we remember on this day that in March in 1906, there was snow on the ground, and by the time they took her to be buried at Central Presbyterian Church, which we locally now know as Hochstein School of Music, 10,000 people came out and stood in the snow to pass by and pay their respects. May we continue to encourage those who believe in the vision to pay their respects by working for that which she believed in. And for those who don't know the story, may we continue to raise our voices, to teach, to educate, to agitate,